After years of serving as a squire, Aegon was eventually knighted and became an accomplished warrior in his own right, fighting in the Third Blackfire Rebellion of 219 AC alongside his father Maekar, brother Aerion, and uncle Bloodraven against Bittersteel and the claimant King Aegon Blackfire. Defeated, Aegon was dishonorably killed after surrendering, while Bittersteel was captured and sent to the Night's Watch, only to be rescued and freed by his allies before arriving at the Wall. In 220 AC, Aegon married Betha Blackwood, who birthed his 5 children, starting with his heir Duncan Targaryen, nicknamed Duncan the Small, likely named after his friend and mentor Sir Duncan the Tall, as well as Jaehaerys, Shera, Darren, and Rael. Upon the death of his uncle Aerys I in 221 AC and ascension of Maekar to the Iron Throne, Aegon and his brothers were called to attend their father in the capital of King's Landing. The 4th son of a 4th son, Aegon never expected to rule the realm, but during the reign of his father Maekar, a path toward the Iron Throne gradually presented itself when his eldest brother Darren died, allegedly of a pox caught from a whore, though their brother Maester Aemon claimed it was the dragon dreams that ended his life. The next in line for the throne was Aerion Brightflame, who in 232 AC got drunk and in his madness drank wildfire, believing it would transform him into a dragon, but instead died screaming. The following year of 233 AC, Aegon fought alongside his squire, Tywin Lannister, in the Peak Uprising, where he knighted Tyon's twin, Tywald Lannister, after he suffered a mortal wound. Ever the proud and valiant warrior, King Maekar led the loyalist forces, and although they emerged victorious, the monarch died during the storming of Starpike. With several candidates available as heirs to the Iron Throne, the hand of the King Bloodraven called a great council of noble lords, which decided to bypass Vaella, the feeble-witted daughter of Darren the Drunkard, and Maegor, the 1-year-old son of Aerion Brightflame, fearing he inherited the madness of his father. The nobles then tried to quietly offer the throne to Maester Aemon, the eldest living son of the deceased King Maekar, but he refused, believing he was meant to serve, not rule, and would not break his maester's vows, despite the High Septon offering to absolve him. Briefly presented with an unexpected candidate, Aenys Blackfire, the exiled 5th-born son of Daemon Blackfire, wrote to the royal court and put forth his claim to the Iron Throne. Bloodraven then wrote back, offering him safe conduct to the capital where he could present his argument, but as soon as he arrived, Bloodraven ordered him arrested and executed, even presenting his head to the Great Council as a warning to any who might still harbor sympathies to the Blackfire cause. Left with little choice, the lords of Westeros offered the crown to Maekar's youngest son Aegon, who became Aegon V, called Aegon the Unlikely, though he garnered little love or respect from the noble class that were put off by the years he spent as a squire to a hedge knight, mingling with the small folk, sometimes calling him half a peasant behind his back. Upon ascending to the Iron Throne, Aegon V's first act was to arrest and banish Bloodraven to the Night's Watch, as he had knowingly broken his word to Aenys Blackfire while serving as Hand of the King, and so must be punished to save the crown's reputation and ensure their word could still be trusted. Accompanying Bloodraven north was Maester Aemon, who also joined the Night's Watch, fearing others might try using him to plot against the king. Ever grateful to his friend Sir Duncan the Tall for his tutelage and mentorship, King Aegon named him to the Kingsguard, later becoming Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and ordered him to escort his brother and uncle to the Wall. Throughout his reign, Aegon proved the nobles somewhat correct in their assessment of his character, as he largely focused on helping the small folk, like during a particularly harsh winter when he sent generous food shipments north for their survival. He also granted legal rights and protections to commoners, which resulted in backlash and resistance from the nobility, forcing the king to compromise in his desires. Aegon also endured a number of wars during his reign, like in 236 AC when he fought in the 4th Blackfire Rebellion against Bittersteel, the Golden Company, and the claimant king, Daemon Blackfire III, son of Aegon Blackfire. As few rallied to the enemy cause, the Targaryens won a swift victory, with Sir Duncan the Tall slaying Daemon III in single combat, while Bittersteel escaped to Essos with the remnants of their army. Over the years, Aegon also put down 3 rebellions in the Westerlands, due to the incompetence and weak leadership of Lord Tytos Lannister. Yet another consequence of his years among the smallfolk, Aegon was against the Targaryen tradition of incestuous marriage, and so betrothed his offspring to the children of powerful houses throughout the realm, which would wisely have the secondary effect of garnering significant support for his reforms and overall reign. Thus, his heir Prince Duncan the Small was betrothed to the daughter of Lord Lionel Baratheon, while Prince Jaehaerys was betrothed to Lady Celia Tully of Riverrun, Prince Daeron to Lady Olenna Redwine of the Arbor, and Prince Shaera to Luther Tyrell of Highgarden. Yet in the end, his plan failed miserably and only caused more enmity to his reign, starting in 239 AC, when Duncan the Small broke off his betrothal to instead marry the commoner Jenny of Oldstones. Firmly against this decision, King Aegon forced his son to choose between this woman or his position as heir to the Iron Throne, but Prince Duncan chose his wife and willingly surrendered this inheritance to his younger brother Jaehaerys. Outraged by this betrayal, Lord Lionel Baratheon, once a loyal vassal and friend to the king, openly rebelled and declared himself Storm King. Though the Laughing Storm had once fought to defend Sir Duncan the Tall during the tourney of Ashford, they now found themselves on opposite sides, and so to avoid further bloodshed, fought in single combat, where Sir Duncan emerged victorious and ended the rebellion. Despite their victory, Aegon recognized they broke their word, and betrothed his youngest daughter Rhaelle to Lord Lionel's heir Ormond Baratheon, even sending her to Storm's End to serve as the cupbearer and companion to Lord Lionel's wife. Further trouble occurred when Aegon's children, Jaehaerys and Shaera, broke off their betrothals to marry each other in 240 AC, and Prince Daeron ended his betrothal in 246 AC, choosing to remain unwed and spend his time with Sir Jeremy Norridge, even dying together in 251 AC, as they fought to crush the rebellion of the Rat, the Hawk, and the Pig. Therefore, instead of garnering support through the marriages of his children, King Aegon made enemies, and had to find other ways to appease the houses Baratheon, Tully, Tyrell, and Redwine. Despite these setbacks, King Aegon served as a just and beloved ruler to the smallfolk, thanks in part to the many lessons he learned as a squire. In the final years of his reign, a fifth Blackfyre rebellion started to gather momentum when Meleys the monstrous Blackfyre, leader of the Golden Company, formed the Band of Nine alliance with 8 other outlaws, exiles, pirates, and sellsword captains, making their base in the Stepstone Islands, while they planned their invasion of Westeros. Though the threat was not yet urgent, Aegon V started to prepare their defenses, while his son Prince Duncan the Small remarked that crowns were being sold 9 for a penny, causing many to call these enemies the 9-penny Kings. Ever eager to enact further reforms and help the smallfolk of his realm, Aegon was convinced the only way the nobles would accept his decrees was for House Targaryen to once again possess dragons, spending much of his time studying their history while sending agents to search for additional lore and texts from places as far as Ashai by the Shadow. And so in 259 AC, Aegon gathered his closest relatives, friends, and supporters to Summerhall to celebrate the birth of his great-grandson to Aerys and Rhaella, the children of his heir Jaehaerys. Once gathered, Aegon attempted a ritual to hatch dragon eggs that went horribly wrong, causing an explosion and devastating fire which killed the king and his firstborn son. Lord Commander Duncan the Tall was also believed to have died during the event, but the writings of Archmaester Gildain suggest he had a role in saving others before his supposed demise. Although Gildain's full account was lost when ink spilled onto his work, what was left read as follows: "The blood of the dragon gathered in one. 7 eggs to honor the 7 gods, though the king's own septon had warned. Pyromancers. Wildfire. Flames grew out of control. Towering. Burned so hot that died, but for the valor of the Lord Command." These brief excerpts led some to speculate that upon seeing the death of the king and much of the royal court, Sir Duncan ensured the survival of the king's granddaughter Rhaella Targaryen and her newborn son Rhaegar. After the death of the king and the tragedy of Summerhall, his son and heir, Jaehaerys II, ascended to the Iron Throne, and while Aegon V was fondly remembered by the smallfolk, many of his reforms were later undone during the reign of his grandson, Aerys II, by the hand of the king, Tywin Lannister. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Delacruz the Freed, Edingruir Spicy Sky Frugran, Tormus Woods Whisper, and Kyle Blitzsword. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.